Do you find yourself looking for ways to save time in your kitchen, but you're not sure where to begin? Well, I have got you covered. That's exactly what we are going to talk about in today's video. My name is Tiffany, and I help busy millennials who feel overwhelmed in the kitchen learn new skills to create quick, healthy recipes with wine pairing. Check out my link in the description below and follow me on social media for daily tips, tricks, recipes, and inspiration. And while you're there, be sure to grab your copy of my free weeknight recipe guide to help you start saving time, money, and energy in your kitchen right away by trying out 7 of my family's personal favorite recipes that go from raw to ready in 30 minutes or less. In this video, we are going to talk about 3 ways to help you save time in your kitchen so you have more time to spend as you wish and enjoy life as you choose. So, let's get started. Tip number 1 is to practice mise en place. This is a French term that stands for everything in its place, but it is the perfect strategy for cooks all over the world, both amateurs and professionals and anywhere in between, to save time and maximize what you have in your kitchen. So one way to do this is to read through your recipe completely before starting with the first step. This allows you to have all of your ingredients ready to go, all gathered, also having all of your prep tools ready to go. By reading through those steps, you will not be caught off guard by certain steps that may be in there. For example, needing to preheat the oven to a certain temperature, or allowing oil to heat up in your cast iron for 5 to 10 minutes before you start cooking. You might also see different ingredients in there that need to be prepped different ways or at different times. So by reading through all of those steps, you become familiar with the entire recipe and you won't be caught off guard with anything that might be a little crazy in the middle of that recipe. Now, another helpful tip is to have a scrap bowl or a compost bin close by. We have a countertop compost bin that allows us to have scraps going in there right away as we are prepping our produce. Now, this compost bin is also perfect for napkins that are left over after dinner is done. But having that scrap bowl is going to save you so much time and energy because it allows you to throw those scraps in there right away as you are prepping your produce, rather than having to find a place to dump it in the middle. You can maximize your time with that scrap bowl or that countertop compost bin. And lastly, you want to be preheating the oven or the oil in that skillet while you're prepping the ingredients. And this is another tip that is beneficial by reading through all of those steps. So when you are more familiar with the steps in the recipe, you can maximize your time by working smarter and not harder. Now, before we jump into tip number 2, I want to hear from you. What is your biggest struggle currently when it comes to cooking at home? Drop your struggles in the comments below. I look forward to reading these and learning how we can work together to not only save you time, money, and energy in your kitchen, but also overcome those struggles together so that way you have more time, money, and energy to enjoy life as you wish. Now, tip number 2 is to discover little ways to get ahead. Now, we discussed a little bit of this by preparing and planning ahead with that recipe, but there are other ways that you can get ahead outside of simply cooking a recipe. One of my favorite ways is to prep produce in advance. So by prepping these in advance, and by meal planning in advance, you can maximize that time. So after you go grocery shopping and you are unloading your groceries, before you put that produce in the crisper drawer or elsewhere in your fridge, set aside the time to prep it right away. So think of slicing up bell peppers or cucumbers for snacks and putting them into grab and go containers. Then you have those all ready to go for a healthy afternoon snack for the kids, or to grab and go as a work snack, a workout treat, or for some healthy road trip snacks on the go. Prepping in advance saves you time, plus it's the healthier option. And with it already being conveniently prepped, you are going to have less temptation to go for that bag of chips instead of the pre-cut veggies. And this is also a way to get ahead if you are using the same veggies day after day with those recipes. So when you sit down to create your meal plan at the beginning of the week, look and see what produce options are going to be used frequently throughout those recipes. You might see diced bell pepper in one and bell pepper strips in another. So prep those at the same time, have them in containers ready to go in your fridge, and then when it comes time to cooking, it's already set and ready to go. You don't have to worry about that additional prep. Now this is also an option if you have onions or cucumbers, tomatoes, lettuce, cheese, you name it. Look at those recipes and see what ingredients are common across the board. Prep them at the beginning of the week, store them appropriately, and save yourself time. Another way to discover a little way to get ahead is to batch cook. Now you can batch cook your protein at the beginning of the week, but you can also batch prep your lunches at the beginning of the week. So when it comes to protein, you can cook up an entire package of chicken breasts at the beginning of the week and have those to enjoy all week long. Whether it is keeping them as a whole breast with a blank canvas seasoning, something simple like salt and pepper, maybe a little bit of Italian or seasoning salt. And then you have that to slice up on salads, shred for barbecue sandwiches, or turn into a taco salad, nachos, fajitas. You can also do this by cooking up 2 to 3 pounds of ground beef at the beginning of the week. Whether it is simply browned or seasoned is up to you. I like to do a bulk batch of taco seasoning ground meat and then have that all week long to enjoy. So we can do tacos on Monday, turn that into nachos on Tuesday, have some leftovers for a taco salad later in the week, turn it into a burrito on Friday. So many possibilities, but you only had to cook it once, saving you time and energy and allowing you to spend that time and energy as you wish. And before we jump into our third tip, I want to remind you to hit that subscribe button because I'm dropping videos like this every week, and I would hate for you to miss out on the next tip or trick right here inside my tasting room. So tip number 3 is to double your recipes. Now this is perfect for having leftovers or for freezer meals to enjoy later in the season. So by doubling your recipes, you are maximizing your time because you don't have to worry about cooking it again at a later date. So just like my taco example with the previous tip, this is another great way to double up that recipe. You have 2 pounds of ground meat that you are going to season with taco meat. Serve 1 pound up that night for dinner or to enjoy as leftovers throughout the week, and then freeze that other pound to enjoy at a later date. Sometimes life happens and you don't have time to cook or you don't have the energy to cook, and that's where freezer meals come in handy. You already have them portioned out in the freezer, ready to go. Simply pull out, thaw, heat up, and enjoy. It is a huge time saver, especially in the future. Now, other great options to freeze and enjoy later are with soups and stews. Also great with pasta sauces. And little tip for you, when it comes to those pasta sauces, freeze them in an ice cube tray and then pop out and store in a Ziploc or a silicone freezer bag. And then you have got them already portioned out, whether you are looking for a single serving or another family size meal. You have got those cubes ready to go. This is perfect for pasta sauce, pesto sauce, and other sauces that you find yourself enjoying or making in bulk. And then another great option is to chop up those extra veggies for snacks. So if you find yourself making salads on a daily basis, you can make those in advance in mason jars for grab and go lunches or for a healthy snack. If you have diced up bell peppers that you need for dinner, cut extra bell pepper strips and store them separately for a quick afternoon snack. You can serve with a little bit of veggie dip, hummus, or simply eat as is. So not only is this helping you maximize your time, it's also saving you on energy, money, and calories. It is truly a win-win all across the board. Now let's keep this momentum going by creating the perfect wine pairing experience to go along with these quick, easy recipes that you are starting to create in your own kitchen. The first tip, as a general rule, red with red and white with white. So typically, your red wine is going to go best with your red meat and tomato-based sauces. White wine is going to go best with your white meat and your white garlic cheese-based sauces. But that's not always the case. And that is where we lead to tip number 2, which is to consider your sides and seasonings. When it comes to matching wine with food, you need to look at the entire meal as a whole, not just the main course, not just the protein source. All of those side dishes, seasonings, and flavors are going to come together and influence which wine is going to pair best. So for example, if you are having a steak seasoned with garlic, pepper, and basil, a red wine is going to be your best option to go along with that steak. You want a medium to full-bodied red wine, such as a Cabernet Sauvignon or a Syrah. Now this is also going to be the case if you are serving that steak with some homemade bruschetta or a tomato-based pasta sauce. However, if you are serving that steak with some Alfredo sauce or garlic mashed potatoes, honey roasted carrots, that Cabernet is not going to be your best option. It is not going to match those other side dishes. So instead you want a lighter bodied red wine or an aromatic white wine to go with this meal. Options would be a Pinot Noir if you are still looking for a red wine, or a Sauvignon Blanc to match the garlic herb notes and that little bit of sweetness from the honey roasted carrots. You could also go after a Riesling or another aromatic white to go along with this and bring the entire meal together. And number 3, sweet likes heat. When it comes to spicy dishes such as Mexican, Indian, Thai food, and curry, you want a sweet wine to cut back on the heat and bring those flavors together. Now, if you are looking to accent the spice, then pour yourself a glass of dry wine, but remember, I warned you, it is going to make that spicy food even spicier. So a sweet wine is still going to be your better option to tone down the heat just a little bit. Now, if you're ready to keep that momentum going and become the wine pairing guru in your social circle, click the link below to download your copy of my free basic food and wine pairing guide to help you create the perfect beverage pairing experience at your next gathering.